I got a new dinosaur.
With a couple of pillows, a few chairs, and a lot of imagination, kids can turn a rooftop patio into their very own Jurassic Park.
He's a triceratops.
The Goodwin brothers don't need much to amuse themselves. With their creative minds, they are the entertainment.
Well, it's definitely an adventure having three boys for sure, and they each have their own unique personality.
Those unique personalities carry over from playtime into how each one learns.
Why does dragons love tacos?
But as their mother Edith has discovered, the public education system doesn't always value her son's differences.
I felt like at times, maybe I was failing them as a parent because, I was trying to advocate for them. No matter how hard I tried, it still wasn't helping them.
Goodwin has spent years trying to get help for her boys when it comes to their challenges in the classroom. It's been a battle for her oldest, 11-year-old Joseph. Even though she says he began struggling with speech delays as a toddler and was later diagnosed with ADHD and autism, he only qualified for special education 3 years ago.
He did want to try. He was making an effort, and yet he wasn't receiving the help that he needed to progress. As I start from the back.
The struggle to get Joseph's services is all documented in this binder, stuffed with medical evaluations, educational assessments, report cards, everything to build a case on his behalf. This is a massive undertaking to keep up with this.
Yes.
Goodwin had to keep track as their family moved around. In their travel, she got a master class in the Federal Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA, the government's primary special education law. It's designed to offer free public education and protect the rights of the more than 7 million students enrolled in special ed programs in schools across the nation. It covers accommodations for everything from providing blind students Braille books to extra time for reading assignments for students with dyslexia.
There was plenty of evidence.
But Goodwin quickly learned how the law is carried out depends on where you live, with Joseph failing to qualify in New Mexico, requiring a state mediator to get evaluated in Idaho, qualifying with ease in Oregon, and then needing a repeat evaluation in Colorado when the state wouldn't accept the one done by his doctor. That's all before the family returned to Oregon once more.
What do you think about the fact that there are so many differences from state to state?
Yes, I was so totally amazed by that because, it's supposed to be a federal program. It's supposed to be uniform. It's supposed to be services that they are entitled to have, nationwide.
It's an issue pointed out in a report by Watchdogs at the Government Accountability Office 3 years ago, highlighting that a student eligible for services in one state might be ineligible in another. But our national investigative team wanted to dig deeper into the problematic patchwork of special education, analyzing the eligibility and evaluation policies from all 50 states, mapping out the differences. We found major disparities from state to state, including how long schools can take to evaluate and place students, with some like Connecticut doing it in a maximum of 45 school days, while children in North Carolina and Washington may have to wait twice as long.
It just makes kids who may be delayed even more delayed.
We took our findings to Katie Neese, the Deputy Assistant Secretary of the Office of Special Education and Rehabilitative Services for the U.S. Department of Education.
What do you say to parents who are thinking, why should the wait times matter based on where I live?
They shouldn't. I mean, it's just, it shouldn't be. And the thought of making a child and a family wait in order to get the services that their child needs, that's going to influence the rest of their lives. It's not acceptable.
But that's not all our investigation found. We also discovered variations in who can assess whether students qualify, what age services cap out, and how states actually define the 13 official disabilities listed in the IDEA. For example, in South Dakota, there are very specific measurements for deafness and hearing loss. But just across the border, Nebraska says it has flexibility, and any child with hearing loss of any degree might be eligible for services. Experts tell us the differences are not necessarily a bad thing, as the law is designed to be a framework for states, giving them the room to implement special education in ways that work most effectively for them.
There's a lot of variability across states. There's also variability within states. need enough flexibility, but we also need to have, like, what is the bottom line?
Anna Brennan has been studying special education for years and is an associate professor at Indiana University. She says states have their own formulas for what qualifies children for special education, and that's just getting started with services. When it comes to actually meeting the federal law for carrying out what's guaranteed, many states fall short. In a report to Congress last year, the Department of Education put more than 20 states and D.C. on a list, noting they needed assistance meeting IDEA for 2 or more years. 2 states, New York and Vermont, were classified as needing intervention.
If this law has been on the books for more than 40 years, but you still have almost 24 states who can't meet their requirements, what does that say about the system?
That we have a lot of work to do.
Kids are lost when we don't take care of them in schools, and that's true for all kids. When we create schools that are not welcoming, that are not democratic, we lose them, and we lose all of their talents. So society pays when we don't take care of our kids, right?
Who pays for special education programming is its own test of the system. While the federal government lays out the rules with IDEA, Brennan points out it's the local and state governments that have to fund what's needed, leaving students with only the services the district they live in can afford.
Across the country, there are not enough resources in schools, period, for kids with disability even more so. I think that is a challenge for all of us. If we really cared about this, we would be paying attention to it, and we would be financing it and funding it at the levels it needs.
Moms like Edith Goodwin are well schooled on the need for special education that she says has helped her sons thrive. They're all enrolled in programs now, but she worries what will happen if the family moves again.
Yes, they're getting, a great education here in Oregon, but you go to another state, we'll have to do the process all over again. Just because they were in school and just because there is special education, that does not guarantee an education.